All right, I call to order this regular scheduled meeting of the 34th City Council for February 7th, 2025, 7 p.m. I'd like everyone to remind everyone in attendance to please shut off any communication, cell phone devices as to not disturb the meeting. Mr. Clerk, can we have the roll?
Councilmember Enos.
Here.
Councilmember Hamud.
Here.
Councilmember Abraham.
Here.
Councilmember Paris.
Here.
Councilmember El Sawafi.
Here.
Councilmember Herrick.
Here.
Council President Sereni.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Councilmember Kamal El-Swafi.
Thank you, Council President. It is my honor to introduce Pastor Susan Todd from the Dearborn First United Methodist Church, who will deliver tonight's invocation. I invite all who are able to please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, by whom we know by many names, through many prophets, we come to you today in a world divided. We ask for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we seek to be a place of refuge, a place that celebrates diversity, a place enriched by immigration. Let us engage in meaningful discussion that nurtures the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect the residents of Dearborn. Continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, Mr. Clerk, can we have the first item?
We have a resolution for the first item. I believe that we were going to have a change on who was going to offer and support this one.
Yeah, so we have to procedurally take it. And
Yeah,
I
thank
can
you,
offer
though,
it
but thank
to-
you. Yeah, so it'll be offered by myself and supported by Councilman Hamud. Is that okay?
We were going to be unanimous.
Oh, unanimous? Okay, so it'll be offered by myself and unanimous support. Is that good,
Okay.
Mr. Clerk?
Very good. Resolution by Council President Sereni, supported unanimously, recognizing Coach Fouad Zaban for his 18 years of head coach of Fortson High School football team and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. What we're going to do here, I'm going to read this into the record, and we have a citation for the coach. And we're going to come, after that, we'll come out here and get a quick photo with him, and then we can have family members as well. So for the last 18 years, Haj Fouad Walker Zaban has been more than a head football coach at Fortson High School. He has been a mentor, a role model, and a guiding force in the lives of countless young men. His passion for the game went far beyond teaching plays and perfecting techniques. Coach Zaban believes that football was a tool to shape character, install discipline, and teach lessons that last far beyond the football field. Through every win or loss, he emphasizes integrity, teamwork, and the resilience, leaving a lasting imprint on the hearts and minds of his players and his coaches. As he retires from coaching, his legacy will live on in the stories of the young men that he inspired, those who have learned not just how to play, but how to lead, persevere, and to be part of something greater than themselves. Coach Zaban has shown a true measure of success isn't just a scoreboard, but lasting impact on others that you have left. His retirement does not mark the end of this era, but his influence will echo throughout generations of players and coaches who carry his lessons with them in their lives for many years in many different arenas. Personally, playing with Haj Fouad Zaban when I was a freshman, we always looked and inspired on what he did as a running back, what he did at Fortson. I can tell you personally as well, I'll never forget when I went to a school function, on the opposing side had T-shirts that said, "What's a Fouad?" I know some of you might remember that in the late 80s. Coach Zaban was a tremendous football player, but a better human being. This game today, and I think I've emphasized this several times throughout my tenure, is not just a game at the scoreboard, but it is actually truly not so much as taking a place of a parent, but in some cases it does, but influencing people through their entire life. There's life lessons that I learned during my time at Fortson High School at the football field that I've used throughout my life. So I encourage this, not only to celebrate this retirement, but to encourage those that have the time and the ability to coach and help in these fields in any athletic sport to be conscious that it's not kicking the goal or winning the football game, but what you are doing in teaching these young people, whether they're young men or women, that will impact them for the rest of their life. And Coach Saban, nobody's done it better than you. Congratulations. All right. At this time, I am going to ask that the
Do you
coach.
mind? Oh, sorry.
Mayor, yes, of
Is
course.
that cool?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
You know, I have to speak. I went to Fortson. Not everybody on council did. I want you to know that.
That's right.
You know, I had the privilege of stopping by Haj Fawaz's house last week to drop off my tribute personally. And I shared then in private, but I'll share now in public, that Haj Fawad, coach, was never my coach on the field. But in many ways, you've been a coach for me in life, whether you know it or not. And the manner in which you carry yourself as a husband, as a father, as a mentor, as a teacher, and as a coach is something that I strive to be each and every single day, and I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart. Especially as a proud Muslim Arab American man, one that gets scrutinized by the media each and every single day. The way in which you carry yourself is something that everybody can hopefully exemplify in the way that they go about their lives each and every single day. And so words will never be enough to demonstrate the gratitude that we have for all that you have done, because your achievements off the field far surpass any achievement you've ever accomplished on the field. And I think us entirely as a community understand that and know that. And so thank you for everything that you have done. I know I have already approached you about potential new ideas about how we're going to utilize you moving forward. But from the bottom of my heart, on the behalf of my entire family, I want to say thank you. And inshallah, you know, again, like I said, it's not goodbye, but hopefully it's a new chapter of where your services are still much needed.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, at this time, we're going to come down with the coach and give him his presentation, and then we'll have the family come in. We might have to move a little bit for the families, a lot of families. You guys kind of getting close enough, we'll get the family in. Yeah, we'll let. Okay. Ready? I would like to bring the family in. Would like to come in? Wife, daughter, yeah. Yeah, he. You guys good?
Yes, you ready?
You all want to just unbalance like that?
No.
We got ours, don't worry. We got ours. Right.
I really appreciate that. Thank you for responding, because I know he wasn't. Although this is great.
Take the lights off.
Man, usually when the room fills up, I'm nervous.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, we'll get in trouble. All right, Mr. Clerk.
Mayor, are you gonna sign an executive order?
All right, Mr. Clerk, we would like to add a unanimous roll shall be attached.
Okay,
Okay, next item.
next item is number 5, public comment.
Okay. So folks, the public comment Council rules were enacted this term to allow up to 30 minutes of public comment prior to our business items to better serve our residents. So anyone here that would like to address the council regarding city business, we ask that you fill out a card, and then we'll call you by that order. If you don't want to fill out a card, just raise your hand, and we'll have you come up, okay? So, Mr. Clerk, we have a start time of 7:14,
Okay?
and I do have one from Mr. Al-Qadri. Mr. Al-Qadri?
Leo Cadre, 219-12. I sent an email to you guys earlier today, I don't know if you had a chance to see it. I received a parking assessment for 1034 Monroe. It says that I have a parking deficiency. So I'm trying to understand how a 100-year-old building, which should be grandfathered into the corner, long before anything else was built around us, has a 500-car parking structure across the street, now has a parking deficiency. So I need to understand it.
Okay, Mr.
I did put
Al-Qadri.
in a call, by the way, to the assessor and to zoning, but I haven't heard back yet. So I did put a call in.
No, I appreciate it. I did see the email, did not have a chance to read through it wholly, but Mr. Torti, would you like to come forward? I can give you the lame person's version, but I'd like the director to be here, Mr. Al-Qadri, and I will give you, and I'll stand corrected if I say anything incorrectly regarding the assessment. So the regarding of parking, thank you. Because, we had restaurants, and I know the way, not only before I was on the council, the way the parking works, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we have a formula based on the use of the business. So if you had a large business size-wise, but had certain employees, the use only required 4 or 5 people or so on and so forth, depending on what you have, the use determines how many parking spots you have. So if you don't have any parking spots on your property, so let's say your use was 10 spots was required, and you had 5 spots that were your personal spots, because you're in the downtown, you can open that business. Some businesses will be denied entry to open because they are deficient. Now, your personal, if I'm correct, you're in the downtown, that's the address in the downtown, because I don't have a different building, a couple buildings, I wanna make sure I get it correct. If you're in the downtown such as what, and East Dearborn we recently did.
Correct.
We just changed it. East and West downtowns, because of walkability, ride sharing, all the stuff that happens with downtowns, people park and walk, right? So what happens is, we allow, the structure was paid by the taxpayers, right?
Right.
We put up a structure to help alleviate this so businesses can open. So if you have 5 spots on your lot and you're required 10, then we bill you for the 5. And correcting me if I'm wrong, it's about $6 or less than $6 a spot?
That was for the east, sir.
For, what's the west one? Yeah, because the
It's like
assessments.
95.
Roughly. I don't
So it has
have
it
it.
listed, there's like $95.
About 96, 98
$96.
hours.
$98 a spot for the year.
Correct.
Correct, I just want to make sure, yes. And that encompasses our costs, so it's not which I'm sure you're, as a landlord, you understand, it's after
Absolutely.
the year, depends on what we do. In the East Dearborn, it was the first year, so we only did 6, but we might have capital improvements and so on.
Correct.
In West Downtown, a lot of stuff is new, but we have a lot more maintenance too, with the rubbish, the cleaning, the landscaping. So that's how they assess it, so before you ask, I just want to make sure I was right, is that, give a
Council
gist?
President, that's generally on point. Sorry, Jordan Torti, Director of Economic Development. Hey, Mr. O'Connor.
Just to elaborate, so it's based
Yeah,
on zoning
Mayor.
use, right? So you obviously have your coffee shop, your law office practice, you have a mixed use. So it takes all the parking spots collectively that are required for your tenants and for your building, deducted by what you have to offer. I think you have a deficiency of 40 spots roughly. 20, forgive me.
Is that the
The
right
other thing,
building?
this was technically passed back in 2018, and the billing was supposed to happen in 18-19, got suspended during COVID. And so we didn't bring it forward as new, we just resumed, because during COVID and the transition of administrations, it had never been brought back forth for billing again. And so rather than going retroactive and trying to collect multiple years, we said that's just a loss that we, the city, absorbed. But for us, the parking structure, I was actually just looking at the debt just yesterday. It was $20 million investment for all the underground infrastructure work plus the actual parking deck itself. And so for us, we're also trying to come up with a way of how do we maintain capital improvements. Most municipalities do it one of 2 ways. Either you do the SAD, the special assessment on the parking, or you do paid parking. And as you're well aware also, the city eliminated paid parking, which would have been the means for it to generate the dollars for capital improvement. Because we've done away with paid parking, the only alternative is through a special assessment. So that's also one of the trade-offs that business owners make in our downtown. And so that's kind of where it happens.
Right, and then Mayor, just, Mr. Kadri, you're gonna have plenty of time, but I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. Also, because I was on the council when we removed the paid parking, which was a big issue and hindrance of getting business, getting people come in and they wanna have lunch and they gotta run outside. So when I came on, I think it was 14 or 15, is when we eliminated that. That was a direction of the mayor at that time, and the council supported getting rid of the paid parking aspect. So the mayor's correct, that is one other option. I did inquire into, I believe, legal, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I was surprised that we did not bill after 18. The mayor had a conversation with me, and I asked if there was any resolution from the council that withdrew it, and there wasn't any. But I agreed with him that we shouldn't go back, and go retro back from 18. Whatever was done before this mayor took over, I did not, and I'll stand corrected, Mr. Romer, but I did inquire, and there was no council resolution that said stop collecting from people.
Correct.
It was done administratively. So when I did speak to the mayor regarding this, I agreed that we should begin fresh and go forward. To go backward would be, I
It's
think, would be unjust.
2023, by the way. It
Yeah,
is
so-
in arrears, it's 2023 to 24.
So it's a retroactive. So what we do is we look at our capital costs for the previous year, and then we send out the bill this year. So it's basically our capital improvement costs for the last year. Does that make sense? We don't do it prospectively looking. We take actual costs and then apply those expenses
Right.
onto divide them amongst the businesses based on deficiencies.
I meant retro from 18, because there was
Okay.
discussion of whether we should bill people from 18. I said that, I don't think that would be very.
So what's not clear, from a property owner perspective, is who actually is being charged this in our district? Which actual property owners are being charged?
It's about 90, almost 100 business owners. So all business owners that are deficient in parking are actually absorbing the fee, the largest of which being Ford Motor Company.
And what is the borderline for the district, the SAD? What
There
are
is
the street
There
borders?
is a map we could, Jackie, can we
The
get that
DDA.
map?
I mean, is it roughly like Garrison and?
Let me have the director answer
It's
it.
almost like the DDA borders.
It's very close to the DDA border. We could follow up. We'd be happy to share the map of the footprint and show who's in.
No, I just want to make sure it's distributed, because I know for a
Yeah.
fact that the parking structure is used very widely.
Yeah.
It isn't
Yeah.
just the people that are across the street, like.
No,
my
you're
building.
correct, yeah.
It's people parking there that work for Ford, charging
And correct me if I'm wrong,
cars.
but I think
It's-
they count all the parking spots across the entirety of the district and then apply the deficiencies. It's not just about what's immediately in the immediate vicinity.
Okay,
That's correct.
They'll add the parking spots for all the parking decks.
Yeah, and the council
and then
also
apply the
recently did
deficiencies
this.
and so on and so forth.
Mr. Okaj, just so you know, because I know you're about the transparency, so the council recently did this, so we couldn't tell somebody that we need 200 spots and we have 180 and then assess them. So we have to have, the parking has to be sufficient for them, and some of them we absorb because there's some businesses that are not open at that time, that don't have a use. So it is calculated, and we recently passed that as the council, because it's normal, we do that each year,
okay,
because we were doing it in the past as well.
okay. So when I just feedback is, to me, that parking structure is, and all the parking is good for the whole community.
Correct.
Not just the commercial businesses. I understand you're drawing a line around the district, but my view would be, it's like flipping the paid parking situation. Paid parking was putting the cost burden on the customer.
Correct.
Now we flipped it, we put it on the business. That's
Correct.
essentially what's happening here.
Right.
So it doesn't make it any easier, it doesn't take the sting off of it from a business perspective. This is 13.3% of my annual property tax. So it's not a small chunk of change for a small business. Might not be a big deal for Ford Motor Company. So I would look at the parking structure and all the infrastructure, in fact, as more widely distributed over the tax base. Why wouldn't we say that it's a tax across the whole city? All residents benefit from it, not just the businesses. So whether it's the, Ford Field activities, the Martian Run, everybody's using that parking lot. Some people park there and walk 12, blocks in another direction. Some people put their electric cars in there when they're working at Ford and leave it charging there. So the use, to me, is broader even than the district. And as I say, the best analogy I have is you flip the paid parking and put it on the businesses. So now we have the cost that the customers wouldn't pay when we had the debacle 15 years ago. So,
Well, I think, no, it's a good point, but I think the issue is that these districts, and there's gotta be, Mr. Romer, if you have any legal aspect to it, because I know that there has to be a rational, when you have a tax, it has to be rationally apportioned. So we couldn't say that somebody on Southfield is using that parking lot. It has to have a rational relation to be connected to the use of it. So that's why we create, and we actually have to create a district, and it has to be, Mr. Romer, can you give us the example of legally why we create these districts, and they have to have 2 readings, so on and so forth?
Certainly, but I just want to clarify, an SAD is not a tax.
Well,
I
okay, that's
understand,
true.
but from a small business owner, it feels like a tax. So I got the
I understand.
language.
I'm just clarifying
Yeah,
how
the-
you're
No, no, I-
saying it,
The
'cause it's
legal
not a tax.
language, no, you're right, I understand SAD versus actual real property tax. I'm just saying that legally, the cover is, we draw a district, now we can make the charge legally. I get it, special assessment.
But remember, if you had enough spots, there would not be no discussion,
It's a
because there's
100-year-old
places that have
building.
6 spots,
But
right?
that's gonna take me back to, it's a 100-year-old building, we're grandfathered in under all the code. So when I saw
You are.
parking deficiency, I said, well, how did I get assessed for parking on a 100-year-old building? That was my first reaction.
Yeah.
My second reaction is, I remember paid parking, I lived through it.
Yeah.
So I know what happened to the businesses up and down Michigan Avenue, they all disappeared, which is why we had empty buildings for 10 years.
Right.
So I'm just cautioning that I'm a small business owner, I run my shop extremely well. And I don't install equipment I can't afford, I don't put things in I can't maintain. So when I look at this, I say, well, it's infrastructure, how come the city can't maintain it? This is my first reaction from a business perspective.
Yeah.
But I understand there are additional costs, I understand the infrastructure is costly. It just feels a little bit like we took paid parking and went like this. Okay, businesses, you have to pay.
Yeah.
We won't take it from the customers.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take it from the
Yeah,
customers. I don't want to do that.
So I guess all valid points. And, like I said, established obviously in 18, and we just, brought it back, or brought it forward when it was suspended without merit. The argument I'll tell you is, the city put a $20 million, it bonded out for $20 million to do all the infrastructure. And as you know, as a business owner, your capital improvement costs are basically at some point that the whole thing's gonna need replacement. We obviously see that we have the clean streets crew, we have 6-day-a-week garbage pickup, so on and so forth, and there's a lot of expenses. The DDA absorbs some, the city's absorbing others. And the reality, to your point, if you're a business owner that doesn't make investments that don't basically see a return, as a city, when we build something, the true cost isn't just the building of it, it's the maintenance of it, and eventually the replacement of. And that's how a SAD or paid parking are supposed to work. So if you look at any other major downtown across all of Michigan, it's one of 2 options.
Right.
There is no non-option. Northville has first two hours free, then you start charging. Royal Oak is paid, Birmingham is paid, Ann Arbor is paid, downtown Detroit is all paid. So almost every other major municipality that has a formal downtown, it's paid parking or it's an SAD. There is really no alternative option, and this is where the private-public partnership comes. The investment that was made by the city permitted the $80 million development by Ford for the Wagner, which hopefully is helping your business flourish. I would say that without the parking deck, without Wagner, I think the valuation on your business would decrease substantially, as opposed to having the Wagner development in addition to the parking deck. And so the public-private partnership also gives value to all the businesses in the area. And the businesses who are receiving the most direct impact are those located along that strip where this development occurred. Thus, the SAD lines are kind of established along that corridor. And so I think that's kind of like just the public-private partnership model that tends to work extremely successfully.
So it is all the parking spaces throughout the whole district, even on the flat lots, even the surface lots?
Everything within the footprint.
Correct.
Councilman Abraham?
Yeah, I just brought up the history of this, so I love history too. But before there was paid parking, there were SADs. So the paid, just so you're clear, it wasn't free to the business owners and then paid parking was implemented. The same SAD that's in place today was in place from when I started on the council up until user paid parking was implemented. Somebody's always paying for the parking. Somebody's paying for it. There's a cost. The decision was made to implement paid parking, and the SADs went away. When the paid parking went away, the SAD was put back in place. The pandemic threw a wrench into that, and here we are today. I know it doesn't help soften the blow of getting a bill in the mail, but you really should have gotten a bill in 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So the fact that you didn't get those bills for 5 years, I know it doesn't make this bill any easier to pay, but you can look at it as a couple of years you got
Okay.
away without it.
Okay. All right, well, that's the key, my key concern was what I've already shared with you, making sure that it's across the whole area, because I know businesses that are far away from we are shuttling employees in and out of that and using it to offload their own parking lots.
I'll show you what
So-
Ford's bill is later.
What's that?
I'll show you what Ford's bill is later.
Okay, no, I trust you on that one, yeah.
Councilwoman
All right,
Herrick?
that's good, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's it.
Councilwoman Herrick had a question?
Yeah, it's actually for Mr. Torty, so,
Oh,
thank you.
are you done with me?
Mr. Conry.
We appreciate it.
You're all
All
set,
right.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Me
your
too.
business in town. I just was curious, when these notices went out to the businesses, was there an explanation along the lines of what we just heard?
That's a great question. So yes, the business team circulated a letter on December 5th, kind of giving like an FAQ, sort of, not as succinct as the council president's description, but a good one-pager of, here's what the issue is, here's how it works, and if you have any questions, here's the assessor's information. So we
And-
did provide those.
And did it explain that there were a few years that it was not collected?
I don't recall that off the top of my head. I do
Okay.
know it just gave a good breakdown of how this works, and I can share you all a copy of what was
Right, but
circulated.
we also, Councilwoman, just to piggyback on it, we also have new, under the mayor's leadership, the liaisons, business
Yes.
liaisons, and much more communication.
Yes.
I hope that's been, have you been getting that communication?
I guess I would say, I don't remember getting a letter.
Okay.
I didn't see my liaison. I've seen my liaison 3 times in 4 years, in my building, actually in my building.
Okay.
So I didn't get that discussion, and this is just the invoice. So I think that letter would have gone a long way with me if it were in this envelope, so when I opened it, I could answer my own questions, which is it the whole district? How big is the district? Is it the flat surface lots? Is it everybody? Because I know people are parking here and going 10 blocks that way, that type of thing.
Well, it's a very good point, so Mr. Torrey, if you could report
But I'm
back to
just
the
letting you
council
know,
about
that
that's a good point,
communication to
Councilwoman
me
Herrick.
was not effective.
I think it's a fair point, and I think going forward, we'll make sure that, because we don't do the billing or that piece of it, but we'll make sure that letter's shared out in those ways as well.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Because it occurred to me, there are probably a number of other business owners who maybe missed the previous communications and the liaison visits and are opening their mail and asking the same questions.
And I will just add, Councilmember, we also reached out to the call center and the Community Relations Department. We provided a copy of that letter because we've had a couple questions come in through the phone lines. So the call center is now equipped with that information, and calls can be referred to the assessing department as well.
Okay, thank
We
you.
also spoke about it at the DD meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Torrey, thank you for being here. All right, we have, the next speaker is Mr. Ted Barham.
Ted Barnum, I'm a Dearborn resident. I've mentioned about the Peacemakers Conference that we're having, which is starting on Thursday. It's just going to be 2 days, Thursday evening, Saturday afternoon. We're bringing over a gentleman from Israel who used to be a senior official in the Prime Minister's office, and he is very active in trying to promote peace. The other gentleman that we're trying to bring over, a lot of you know this, but for the sake of the audience, used to be a sniper with Fatah PLO and Yasser Arafat's driver, but then he had a huge change in his life where he was inspired by the words, "Blessed are the peacemakers." So we're calling this the Peacemakers Conference. And so I have 2 questions, if you don't mind, for the honorable members of the council, council president, honorable mayor. The first one is, what do you think of the idea? Okay, I want to preface this. This is not to make light of everything that's happened. I'm saying this to you. I said this to a rabbi at a synagogue who responded to my email saying he didn't want to come. What do you think of the idea of Dearborn becoming a center of peacemaking between Israeli and Palestinian people?
Okay, Mr. Barham, do you have any other questions? Because
I do. That's
some
fine.
of us, like I said, this is for us regarding city business, not international matters. I think we've been, tried as much as possible to not go over every, single international aspect. That's not our role. So you are free to do whatever you allowed to do. And just like when you do any of your functions in the parks, whatever you'd like to do that's under the law, we have no problem.
Well, I appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you, Council President. So, but obviously Dearborn has played a role in international, in commentary on international events. In some ways that's been helpful. Okay, my second question, if you don't mind. A couple of Jewish rabbis today, they contacted me. They were going to be part of this conference, but they said they just don't feel safe coming to Dearborn, and so they pulled out. So I'm coming to you today. I appreciate the help you've given me in the past with Jewish friends who were being harassed in the area and the support that I had on that occasion. And I would just like to ask a very specific request. Would it be possible for there to be a police presence during the duration of the conference for the sake of any other Jewish people who might want to come to Dearborn?
The police department is not a personal security for yourself or any function you have. That's not the way it works. So you're a resident of Dearborn. If there's an issue, you can call, but we're not going to have, unless, Mayor, you'd like to chime in, it's not the police role when someone has a function to go be their personal bodyguard. Do you understand that? That's not the role of government. If there's an issue, absolutely the police will be there in a call for an emergency or any issue. But no, if you want to have, if someone that you have has a security question or is concerned, then you have to provide the security for the person or make them feel safe. So that's not the role of our government, to go ahead and have police officers be at your event.
I am paying for security guards.
Okay, great.
I'm doing that, but these Jewish gentlemen felt that, I told them that the police officer who called me, I appreciated that, he said, if you have any issues, then give me a call. And they thought, well, if you have any issues, that could be too late. You never know what might happen. It's not a reflection of people in Dearborn as a whole who've always been historically peaceful, but you never know what kind of person might come in to cause an incident.
Right. But we cannot deal with inferences or maybe someone or possible. That's not the role of the government. That's not the way it works. So we can't, you have security, then you should be all set.
Well, one reason I asked that is that I know there have been times in the past when people feel that Muslim people have been a target, and therefore the police presence has been increased in those situations. So in this case, it would kind of be on the other side. If Jewish people are target, then might it be possible for there to be kind of a raised level of security? I understand
The
what
level
you're
of
saying.
security you're
That's my
speaking
concern.
about, Mr. Braham, when you're talking about a protest that is organized, that they give notice to the police, and there has to be some presence because of walking in certain areas or presence to make sure that there's safety for pedestrians. Are you having an event that's over, how many people are gonna be there?
There's a seating capacity of 163 people.
Okay.
It's in the Henry Ford Centennial Library. I'm renting the auditorium.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's inside the building, right? That's not in our free speech zone. So that's not something that we can go ahead and have police for you. I mean, I'm gonna have my colleagues speak regarding it. Councilwoman Herrick?
Thank you, Council President. I was just going to say some of the events that you might be thinking of where you have seen an increased police presence, that may have been part of a contractual agreement between the city and the organizers of a major event, that they were expecting a lot of people, and that was negotiated. So in those cases, the organizers pay for that additional police presence. And I don't know how exactly that's established, but that's through the police department. When you get you work with them and you get a special events permit, and you talk about what your needs are going to be. So sometimes there's a cost to that, to have that presence available. And then I just wanted to comment as far as, I know that you see council members out in the community at various events, and our mayor speaking, as he mentioned, the eyes are always upon him at the national, international level. But in our own ways, we are all doing those kinds of things. For example, I'm on the board of the Intercultural Community Center in Dearborn, and I'm not sure if you're aware of the work of that organization, but you can go online, there's a website, it's a 501c3, and the purpose of that, and even in our houses of worship, building understanding of others and other perspectives, and trying to, if you don't agree with it, at least understand what those perspectives are. So we've got a number of organizations within Dearborn doing that. And I'm glad that we see, sometimes they do have gatherings in our public spaces to again, bring people together with different perspectives. So I just wanted to note that. Thank you.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
Councilwoman.
the efforts that are made there, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Harris.
Thank you, Council President. The only thing that I'd like to bring up is, I'm going to go back just some of my experience, having been a career police officer and a command officer. I know through the police department that you would have a sergeant or a lieutenant addressing their roll call on a daily basis, no matter what shift it is. And they would bring to the attention of their officers that are out on patrol that, hey, we have this set of crime happening in this area, particular attention, we have this occurring, that occurring, whatever it happens to be. And I would suggest anyways that at least the police chief be made aware of it, whether it's you personally calling him or him calling you, especially what I just heard a moment ago, it has a capacity of 163 people. You have neighborhood police officers that they could possibly just stop in, make sure everything's okay, have a presence just occasionally, or the beat officer that's responsible for that area. Not particularly that they're just stationed there inside to make sure that there isn't any problems, unless there is more than a perceived threat. The perceived threat or the possibility, I would suggest going that way. But if it's actually threatening behavior or you know of any threats, that would definitely be something that should be brought to the attention of the police department and administration so that they're aware of it, and then they will respond to that. But in the meantime, you know, it's just like any other event going on in the city. To me as a police officer, me as a police department, I'd like to know what's going on in my community and address that by doing some drive-bys or even knocking on somebody's door or whatever whatever it may need.
All right, thank you.
You mentioned notifying the chief of police. That would be very helpful if that could happen.
Personally, you know, anybody can notify the police chief's office and have a return call, or at least just getting the information. Or you know what, you have neighborhood police officers. You can call that number too. It's available online. Offhand, I don't know the number, but to be able to express your concerns, and so they're aware of it, and maybe be able to stop by and, you know, see kind of an assessment that they can make that there is a problem or isn't a problem.
Okay, thank you for that tip, much appreciated.
All right, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Next, we have Ms. Fatima Hashem. Just your name and address for the record.
Hi, Fatima Hashem.
Address.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, your address.
My address? Nice.
You're Dearborn resident?
Yeah, I'm a Dearborn resident here. Currently attending Fortson High.
Okay.
I'm a sophomore at Fortson, and I wanted to address the issues I have around the safety when it comes to driving around the Fortson area. As everyone knows, 2 months ago, a girl was unfortunately hit by a speeding car who didn't stop at a red light. And that happened on Ford Road in front of Fortson. But what I've seen is, like, with our safety issues, it's not just in front of, like, Ford Road. I see it on Horger and then behind parking lots of Fortson. What I've seen a lot of teenagers our age do is try to rev their engines or try to speed in front of Fortson on purpose to show their friends what, like, new car they have, or, like, who would, like, trying to impress people. And I've noticed it happening not just in the mornings, it's happening during class time when seniors are getting out of class, because seniors have shorter schedules than us. And I personally have felt kind of like unsafe while walking around the area because of how people have been driving. Like, there was a time where I had almost gotten hit by a car while crossing one of the crosswalks around Fortson because he was going around 45 in a 25-mile-per-hour zone. So.
Well, Fatima, thank you for coming up and expressing this, and that was excellent. A lot of people can't articulate what you did in that short of a time up here in front of us, so, and on the cameras and stuff. But I can tell you, and I'm gonna let the mayor chime in, but I can tell you, speaking from the council, for the council, we have been working from day one in this administration, trying to find lighted stop signs, raised crosswalks. Anybody here that tells you that there's not a problem with their driving, I mean, I'm sure you see the social media, a young man, it was in Dearborn Heights side that crashed and lost his life.
I know him.
Believe me, we are doing everything we can. I know the chief and the mayor visited that young lady that was hit, you know, to get people to drive better and behave better. They have ticketed hundreds of percents higher than they used to. The police officers, under the direction of our chief, when he took over, took some task force and put them on the road. There's more police on the road than ever before. It's a difficult situation, and it gets to a point where, you know, what do you do and how much can you help? So we understand where you feel, you know, and not putting the blame on parents and families, but
Obviously.
you know, the bottom line is that the government can only do so much. We're trying, and there's more we can do, but we're not letting it sit on the side, right? We're doing everything we can to address it. And I'm sure you are too, we're talking to your friends that, you know,
I am.
I'm sure you've seen in the studies that going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit doesn't get you there more than 30 seconds faster, so on and so forth. But unfortunately, we have seen way too many of this.
Obviously, yeah.
Buying cars that have 600, 700, 800 horsepower for 15 and 16-year-old kids. You know, it's a personal choice, and it's becoming a major problem, if it already wasn't. But I want you to understand that we appreciate you coming here for this and speaking on it. And I'd like the mayor to, if you like, Mayor,
Yeah.
to chime in regards, because I know you visited the family as well as the chief
Yeah.
on that one issue. But I want you to know that I don't want you to think that we don't see that there's a problem, and we're trying to address it. We put more police on the road, and we're doing everything we can to try to get people to stop
Yeah.
driving this way.
I understand. There was one morning that I noticed that when I was going to school, when the police wasn't present, it was one morning after the situation, kids were crossing the street when it was a green light, and it happened in front of my mom's car. So like people, I don't see people really are getting the memo, and it's obviously there's so much you can do, but it's so scary, and I feel like if more young voices are out here voicing the concerns the way I am, I think people can really finally start to see a change. Like, finally notice what's going on. Because I've noticed it's mainly, like, adults and, like, city officials talking about these issues, and I've never really seen, like, a kid, you know, present these issues. So I think, like, if people are realizing that children are actually taking this seriously, too, then how much of a difference it can just make within our city alone.
You're absolutely right. I think I commend you for you coming up here and doing that and taking that lead. But you're absolutely right. If it comes from the youth, like that young man that passed recently, his friend did a very powerful video saying, that he couldn't believe he was gone, and you know.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. When it comes from the youth, it's going to have much more impact. But I'd like to give the mayor
course.
a minute to make a couple comments.
First of all, thank you so much for coming, and we appreciate all that you're doing. And you're right, we do need more voices. The reality is, it's a citywide community problem. Community meaning the whole city of Dearborn. And you know, I just came back from Houston actually, and you know, speeding reckless driving is an issue there. Talking with their folk, it's an issue with mayors all across the country. So it's not just in Dearborn. They build cars differently. Unfortunately, what we're seeing is that, you know, we're issuing far more tickets now for reckless driving than we have in the past. We're towing far more cars now than we ever have before. We're obviously cracking down on like illegal tinted windshields. We're actually hosting a few seminars with young people coming up, utilizing places of worship, utilizing the schools and our school resource officers to try to get several hundred youth in one place to have a meaningful conversation. We're rolling out speed humps around all parks and schools, lighted stop signs across the city, lighted traffic crosswalks, high-raised concrete crosswalks. We're re-engineering streets. Chase and Ruby's coming up this year. Schaefer and Prospect is coming up. We're really evaluating and expending a lot of resources and dollars on an issue that, you know, unfortunately everybody is facing. But we need everybody to be part of the conversation. It was heartbreaking visiting the family of the young girl that was struck, and you know, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with her and her family for what they have to face. But we need parents to have serious conversations with their children. When you give your child a vehicle and the keys to a car, They have a responsibility not only for how they drive and their own life on that road, but also for the lives of others on that road, whether they're pedestrians walking, whether it's other individuals in vehicles themselves. And I highly encourage, if you look at our data, which is all online, you can search Dearborn Police Dashboard, it'll all come up. Majority of tickets are given to those between 16 and 24. Maybe half of all the tickets for speeding violation are given to drivers of those ages, if not 3/4. And so we really need to be careful about what car you give them. And so I recommend to all parents, give your kid a bike until the age of 25. And I didn't get my first car until almost 25. And I honestly, so we have to have conversations. For many of us who might have grown up children of immigrants or immigrants ourselves, not with much. And now that we have the means, we want to give that child that beautiful first car. But if you come to me as a parent and your child drives a Maserati, a Challenger, or a Charger, you're a part of the problem. And there's no excuses. And so hopefully, collectively, with your voices, with the voices of others, we can hopefully try to make a difference on this.
Thank you.
Mayor. And Faulkner, I just want to make sure that you know too that the mayor was he touched on it, but not fully. The speed humps have been requested all over the city, and the mayor and the administration focus originally around the schools first. That was the first thing. So I want you to understand, we do know that your safety is important.
There'll be 300 of them rolling out in the spring.
Right.
That's amazing.
Right.
Thank
And we
you.
started with the school district area first. So I want to make sure you know that.
Thank you.
And then, just to let you know too, on the note, me and the mayor had conversations, because I have a lot of ties with people at the children's, the children aspect regarding juvenile aspect. And if there is a juvenile, there has started to become charges of the parents that are if the child's under 18, there has been cases of now the parents can be even drawn into this and ticketed or charged for these issues because they are minors.
Of course.
So we have started to look into that. That's something I brought up at a meeting myself with the mayor, because a worker at the family services has indicated that they do charge people for this situation. So we are looking at that, trying to find a way to calm this.
That's amazing, because honestly, I feel like parents do have some involvement in it. I know multiple people whose parents just let them out like that and just don't care. When in reality, it should be you should be talking to your child all the time about safety, like my mom does. My mom is waiting until the summer to get me a car, because obviously the ice right now is, and I'm legal, I can drive now, but my mom wants to wait until the summer where my dad's able to help me, and I have people that are able to help me learn to drive when then there's also parents giving their children cars before they're even able to get their driver's license. And that's an issue I'm seeing a lot in Dearborn now, and especially with our school, I'm seeing that a lot. And everyone though so far has been doing an amazing job. Our resource officer, our principal, the principals, the assistant principals, mayor, everyone's doing an amazing job, police officers. So I'm not saying that you guys aren't doing an amazing job, because you guys really are. It's just I want people to know that even the youth are concerned, even if it doesn't look like it.
Well, I do appreciate that, because that is a different perspective, and I felt that they would care, but for them for people to actually start coming out at your age and saying that, it's very good. It's very, very good. So thank you for coming. I do have Councilman Paris would like to make a comment.
Of course.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Council President. First of all, I got to say, you are making a difference. You're here tonight. You're addressing people up here that are making decisions on your behalf, the administration that's making decisions on your behalf and listening to you. So first, I got to applaud your courage for getting up here and speaking to begin with. We all do know that there is a problem, and I echo a lot of the things that have already been said. And there is a parental neglect or parental responsibility law that is an ordinance within the city of Dearborn. There are curfew violations, and Dearborn Heights has curfew violations too. And I'm not going to speak of the recent case, but that was after 11 o'clock at night. 16 years old, shouldn't even be out unless they're to and from a job or with somebody of responsibility in the car. That's all I'm going to say on that. But what I will like to say to you is, I know you made mention of a student resource officer. Have you been talking to that person in regards to some of the complaints?
I have. I've been talking to principals. I'm actually in a club that focuses on making our schools safe. It's called MOS.
Oh, yep.
I'm the communicating director of that club, and I've been trying to get an assembly established where we could talk about the student safety of driving. I'm in the works of talking to that with the principal.
That's exactly where I'm going to, because I can recall, I don't know if at Fortson that you have this now, there used to be a group, I can't remember the acronym, Students Against Dangerous Driving or something similar
Safe.
to that.
I think it's safe, or no?
Yeah, I know that it was at Dearborn High, it could have been at a couple of the other schools too. But if you're not doing that in your own school, you said about a safety group, get people organized, because you have a voice, and you're talking about an area around Fortson High School where you go to school, and your classmates are going there too. They see the problems. And you know what? Having that voice, you can bring it home, telling your parents what you're doing, and they are going to learn from you. Your older siblings are gonna learn from you. You put pressure on them, hopefully they're gonna respond. But like the mayor made mention and the council president made mention, we all have that responsibility, you know, to look out for each other and do what we can. But I applaud you from coming forward.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Thank you for
Thank you
that.
so much. And Fatima, if you don't mind, if you can give our executive assistant your email,
Of course.
she'll take it, and then we can keep in contact with you as far as your organization.
Thank
In
you.
case you'd like one of us or myself to come out.
Okay,
and
thank you.
speak to the group would be great.
Thank you, I appreciate
All
it.
right,
It's-
thank you.
And if you want, if you go to the Warren Avenue Bike Shop this summer, instead of getting a car, you can get a nice red line with TriStar rims,
Some of those bikes go 30
front
miles an
pegs,
hour.
back pegs, you can take your friends out,
The battery ones.
so better than any car
Thank
you
you
can
so
get.
much.
Thank
Just see our
you.
assistant right there, she's gonna take your email.
Thank you so much.
You got it. All right, at this time, we will, we have no other cards. Mr. Clerk, we are gonna close the public portion at 7:55. I know we ran a little over. I appreciate the leeway there. Before we move on to the consent agenda, are there any items that any member of the member wish to remove from the consent agenda and discuss individually? Okay, hearing and seeing none, Mr. Clerk, you may proceed.
Item number 6, resolution in need of offer and support.
Offer by
Approve
Councilman
all the
Enos.
items on the consent agenda, requesting immediate effect.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. We have an offer by Councilman Enos and a support by Councilman Abraham. Any questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Enos?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamud?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Paris?
Yes.
Councilmember El Sawafi?
Yes.
Councilmember Herrick?
Yes.
Council President Sereni?
Yes.
7 ayes, the resolution passes.
All right. Next item.
We'll move on to now item number 13, resolution by council members Enos and Paris approving the minutes of the previous special closed meeting of January 21st, 2025.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Are there any additions, deletions, or modifications to the minutes? Okay, hearing and seeing none, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 14, resolution by council members Paris and Hamud approving the minutes of the previous regular meeting of January 28th, 2025.
All right, are there any deletions, additions, or modifications to these minutes? Hearing and seeing none, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item number 15, resolution by council members Hamud and Enos granting the request of the canteen of Midtown to conduct the Ramadan Village special event in the parking lot located at 720 Town Center Drive on Fridays and Saturdays beginning March 7th through March 30th, 2025 from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. and to utilize Sundays as a makeup day in the event of cancellations due to weather or unforeseen circumstances. Also authorizing temporary food truck hours during Ramadan season from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Friday, and from 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. from Friday through Sunday. Additionally, authorizing the installation of a temporary fence and 2 heated outdoor holiday tents, subject to certain stipulations, and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The business owners at the Canteen in Midtown, located at 720 Town Center Drive, are requesting authorization to hold a special event titled the Ramadan Village. The event will be held on Fridays and Saturdays during the month of Ramadan. The event will start on March 7th of this year until March 30th in the parking lot of the Canteen at the Midtown. The Ramadan Village events on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from March 7th through the 30th. The dates will be March 7th through 9th, March 14th through 16th, March 21 through 23, and March 28 through 30. The canteen in Midtown extended hours Monday through Thursdays from March 3rd to March 30th at the exact dates of March 3rd through March 6th, March 10th through March 13th, March 17th through the 20th, and March 24th through the 27th. This includes installing a temporary fence, 2 heated outdoor holiday tents, as well as other facilities to maintain and eliminate any impact on noise in the surrounding area. They're also requesting the use of tents through the duration of the event through the March 30th. This year's event will be a much smaller version of the Sword Festival. The event plans have been submitted to the Police, Fire, and Economic Development Department, are deemed approvable under the building codes. The event is scheduled from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Any questions or comments on this item? Councilman Hamud?
So you weren't here at COW, but we made sure to ask all the questions that you would ask. I don't know if you heard about that.
I appreciate that.
And so that's why the memo's borderline bulletproof now. So I do appreciate Jordan Twardy and the event organizers for going through it and scrubbing it and making it a lot cleaner. This is good stuff. So thank you for answering all of our questions for today.
All right. Mr. Twardy, yes.
You're at yes, you can only go backwards now.
Yeah.
Sir, if I may, I just want to make sure, I appreciate a good segue. I just want to make sure the noise ordinance waiver was also added to that memo, and I didn't hear it in the overview. I just want to make
No,
sure that's.
you're right. Yeah, I did see that in one of the memos. So, Mr., this was offered by,
It's in there.
is it in there? All right. It does say immediate effect, but just for the notes as well, it was offered by Councilman Hamud and Enos for the waiver of the noise ordinance as well. In that area too, there hasn't been any issues. It's more away from a lot of the area in the Fairlane parking. We haven't had any issues with that. Any other questions or comments? All right. Councilman Enos.
Just for clarification, Sundays will only be a makeup date, right?
That's my understanding in the memo. Mr. Torrey?
The organizer's here.
Correct. The organizer's here to speak to this, but after the discussion at COW, to streamline the request and make it easier to plan with public safety, they just included Sundays outright. Versus
Okay, is that,
wondering whether it would be.
like I said, Councilman Hamud, did you offer this?
Yeah.
Is that your understanding that Sunday's not a makeup? It's these dates
Well,
are solid?
I'm fine with the dates. What I wanted is I just wanted them to articulate it up front. So really what I didn't like was it was all kinds of jumble and like a big broad thing. Now that the dates are articulated, my biggest concern was scheduling with public safety. And by nailing it down, now it's very predictable, and now it's good for, even for people who want to go, it's nailed down 100%.
Well, I know, I think it's nailed down, but I think the question happened in the first time a few years back, is that if these are the dates, if there's a rain date, so
No, now there's no more rain dates.
is there an option for a rain date?
No.
No. Under this request, sir, it would be just these dates.
Okay, Mayor, is that your understanding?
It's written in here, it just says Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it doesn't say makeup.
So there is no makeup days in this, so I want to make sure the event organizer knows. Is there any other questions before I want to call the event organizer up? Mr. Shammy, would you like to step forward?
Yeah, just in the beginning.
Just need to stand up and say your name and address for the record.
Hassan Shami, 130 North York, Dearborn, Michigan. Right when you read it off, it said Friday, Saturdays, but when you read off the dates, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so there was just a little mistake there. So it is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so if there's a rain day, it is what it is, that's why we have the Sundays available. And Sundays are usually very slow, so, and we'll probably end a lot earlier than 3.
So the question is, because you had this question before, and I think you remembered it, so on Friday, if it rains, are you
That's
gonna
it.
do next week Thursday?
No.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that's clear, so that you don't have no issues.
The only replacement were Sundays at the time, now we're just gonna do Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Now there's no replacement because you took that, we're granting that in with them, and those are the 3 nights.
Yeah, we learned from the previous years.
Yeah, that's good. Councilman Pierce, what's good?
Thank you, Council President. I believe some of the conversation at the Committee of the Whole on Thursday, though, was the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, only because it is Friday and Saturday and carries over till 3 o'clock in the morning, so that is actually Sunday. So it would end at 3 o'clock in the morning and not the whole day on Sunday until 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday.
The memo before you clearly states 10 p.m. 3 to 3.
It says PM actually.
Yes, it should be 3 a.m.
I think it should be
But
3
operating hours on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so,
Yeah, so Sunday will run into Monday morning.
correct, technically.
Okay, Jackie, make sure we note that, because I want to see that one when we sign it. The resolution, so it's done properly. And then, do we have Mr. Shamy's email? I want to make sure he gets a copy of that, so that he knows, just so we have it all on there. So is everybody in agreement? Okay, excellent. And then, Mr. Shammy, for me, I've attended the previous events I can tell you they're very, very well done, very secure. The amount of people that came in the past, and I know the weather hasn't, as Ramadan moves and doing their calendar, but I'll tell you, when the mayor first came on and you did the first one or two, I thought it was incredible. I visited with my family. I thought there was people from all over the region coming. I know that a lot of the hotels were sold out, so we do appreciate that. I know that this is a smaller scale because of the time of the year, but I hope that you're doing well there. I visited the canteen several times. You have done a tremendous job there. I know you have a good landlord. I know you have a good working relationship, but the facility from where it was, if people don't remember the old TGA Fridays and the overgrown trees there, and the place is gorgeous. It's a great concept, and I wish you the best. I've been there several times, and the only complaint I got is I gotta wait too long to get my sandwich.
Not anymore, we got
All
a new
right.
app, we got a new app.
Do you got an app?
Yeah, now you just,
All right.
you get to your table, scan the QR code, we bring the food to you, you're good to
There you
go.
go.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for what you do.
problem.
We
Thank you,
really
guys.
appreciate it, and we're a big success for you going forward.
Thank you.
Councilman Pierce?
Yeah, if I could, the one thing I wanted to bring up is, I did bring up some security concerns on Thursday. First of all, I gotta say, thank you for addressing some of those issues. A question that I had though, just for future events, should you go forward again, thank you for bringing this forward before the event, so things could be worked out. I gotta ask then, just in the tented area, in the back, that seems to, how many people would you have working, would you think, from your own employees, say on a Saturday night,
So we
during
got-
this event?
So we got employees and volunteers. So,
Okay.
and then, so at every entrance and exit, we have somebody standing there all night that directs traffic, and they have counters, and they have a walkie-talkie that connects to the front. So there'll be over 35, 40 people just working those.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking is because I know on one of the backup sheets, it does say the city of Dearborn is responsible for determining occupancy within the tents. So that's why I'm bringing it up. So if there's 35, 40 people, is that also including the number of people
So they'll be
for the food trucks?
So they'll be standing out, so are you asking who's working the actual event, or who's working for me for the traffic?
Yeah, anybody that's associated through you for the event, or the food trucks too, and I'm just wondering how many people.
Yeah, on average, each
General.
vendor has about 3 employees.
Right, but I mean,
So-
there is a,
there's-
there is an occupancy requirement for the tents, and there's a fire marshal sign off, is that correct? Yeah, so that's,
There's a reason why I was bringing it up, is the number of employees or volunteers or security that you may have, and the food trucks, all at one place. That tent is probably taking up half of your 150 parking spots. So I'm just looking forward to future years, because it wasn't immediately brought to us about the additional parking that's been agreed upon, next door.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have that many employees, there's no room for any participants to come and park unless they were next door, which was a result of some of the conversation on Thursday. So that might be something to consider in the future, that makes sure that something is put into place, because there wouldn't be any place for anybody to
Yeah,
park.
absolutely.
Any participants.
well, I know, but that's assumption is if they park next door. This is at Fairlane Mall, right?
No.
That's at the canteen.
Yeah,
That's a
right, I know, but the canteen is directly across, you have all that parking lot in front of
Can't
you.
use the town
They
center.
can't use town.
You haven't you haven't got authorization from them?
Well, it's a small event, and so we're not anticipating a large enough
So
crowd.
you got the other side.
And so he has the banquet hall next door. I just wanted, my only 2 cents is, the organizer's done this now 5 years, 6 years, and I feel like we ask the same questions every single year, and every year it goes off without an incident. And so
Right.
let the bureaucracy die, please, for the love of God. We ask questions that have no merit. We obviously have a building department, fire personnel, a fire marshal, the police department that reviewed all plans, and yet it comes before council, and we ask questions that are not relevant to any of the things before us. It's been signed off by every single department, and it happens every single year. And it doesn't happen for any other event. It really doesn't. And so it's growing increasingly frustrating. I've said these remarks previous times that this same bureaucracy has eared its face when he's brought forward this event again. And so at some point, let the bureaucracy die. If you don't like the event, just say, I don't like the event, and call it quits. But let's stop asking the same questions every year, and give merit to the organizer that's been successful for 5 years and done a great thing for the city. And have faith and trust in the fire marshal, the fire chief, the police chief, Sergio and Gracer, in our building department. I mean, we pay them for a reason. And so let's not try to do their jobs. It's just getting frustrating. Every single year, we have the same conversation.
I believe that myself as a council member, and not speaking for anyone else, that you do your due diligence to make sure that there aren't any problems and bring these things up to have those answers to those questions. And I just started off by saying to the event organizer, thank you for bringing these events to light so that we can look at them and see and be self-assured that there won't be any problems. Because I'm gonna tell you, we live in some times right now that are very difficult, for our community. So to make sure and ensure that our residents and our participants are safe and not drawing on resources, police from other areas that may develop into any problem. And again, that's a hypothetical, and I understand where you're coming from, Mayor. But my job is a check and balance and to make sure that from my background to know that we are assured that we're going to have a safe event. And that's why I was saying thank you too for all the work that went into Thursday, because we had a lot of questions, a lot of security concerns, and they were answered. And especially now through economic development, thank you so much for sending that email and all the concerns that we had. You answered a lot of those. So I feel confident going forward. But I just want to make sure that you understand smaller scale event, but that smaller scale event isn't providing any parking originally that would have been spilled over elsewhere that could have possibly caused a problem.
Understand.
But thank you.
I understand, but I just want to say thank you, City Council, for always, approving the event and having trust in me. Over the years, I've built so much trust and a great relationship with the police chief and his staff, the fire department, the building department, and they know how organized we are and how much pride we have in this event, because we represent the city of Dearborn in our entire community. So we take pride in how many people come here for this event. So I want to thank you guys for your support year after year.
I appreciate it.
Councilwoman Herrick?
Since we talked about the scale of the event, and I think it's wonderful, you've heard me say that before, because I know it's something that people look forward to, and they were looking for it before you developed it a few years ago. But just to be clear, we're talking about it being smaller scale, and just for whoever's interested, in me being one of them, the difference between the past ones and this, we have fewer vendors participating, therefore less publicity from those vendors.
So there's fewer vendors, there's less marketing on our end.
That's what I
So
was
we're
gonna
not, as you notice, we're not pushing as hard. Like half the people don't even know, the community doesn't even know we're doing it yet. I posted one time so far just for applications for vendors, just because I want to keep it toned down a bit. And look, honestly, the weather, it's going to be a lot colder this year. So naturally, less people are going to come out compared to 2 years ago. 2 years ago it was 37 degrees in April. This is going to be even colder in March. So we're going to have it under control when it comes to that. We have counters at the door, and if there's a long line and people have to wait in the cold, you can imagine they're not going to come back next weekend. So we're trying to keep it calm and convenient for everyone and as efficient as possible. And it's at my building, at my business, the canteen, right? So I got to make sure nothing goes wrong, because it's the reputation of now my business, not just a 1 month event. And the canteen is my pride and joy right now.
Thank you. And that's just, I kind of wanted you to elaborate on that, because on Thursday night when we talked about this and kind of ironed out some of the things that were a little confusing in the documentation that we received on Thursday, one of the things I said was you could be a victim of your own success, because people know what a great time they had in the past.
You're not wrong.
They could be seeking it out.
You're not
So,
wrong.
but you have a plan in place to deal with all that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Sammy, just one last question. Is there any way that Sammy shawarma was gonna cut the shawarma in half? Because they would not cut mine in half. That's the only problem I had. They said they
We
would
got a
not
good
cut
one.
in half.
Actually, we got 2 Sammy's trucks this year.
Okay, all
So you
right.
don't got to wait 3 hours, you got to wait an hour and a half.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right, thank you so
Anything
much.
else? Thank you.
That's it. Any other questions or comments?
To modify a little bit.
Oh, Councilman Mahmoud?
Yeah, some of the wording in the memo, we just have to modify it, because I found like some typos, so.
Yeah, go ahead.
We need 3 AM for operating hours for Ramadan Village. And then I'm not gonna be pedantic about the fact that 1 AM on Monday is actually Tuesday, so.
Yeah, but you could say.
No, it's fine, I'm just gonna leave it as is, because then we'd have to go through the whole memo. Yeah, it's like a whole thing. So, what I'm gonna do instead is just, I assume you guys understand the intention of what we're legislating here. So the only thing I wanna add is, in addition to Ramadan Village hours, under the canteen at Midtown bullet points, because I assume the canteen will also be open when the Ramadan Village is open.
Yeah, it's part of it.
Yeah, so, but it's like, we did a weird thing where you're actually applying for two different things at once, because they
Yeah,
bought.
so we're planning to extend the hours to 1 AM on the weekdays.
Yeah,
and
just
then
the
3
village is a special event outside of the building. The building itself needs to also operate, which we didn't add in the memo. So that's why I just want to add that sentence right at the end. So that's
Okay.
it.
Okay, Councilman, you offered it. Councilman Enos, do you have any concerns with that? All right, Mr. Clerk, do you have that direction?
I didn't catch that, but you can
Okay,
give
we'll-
that to me
We'll
afterwards.
have Jackie give you the
Yeah,
audio to make sure it's
okay.
correct.
Okay, appreciate that.
Mr. Shammy, thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item number 16, resolution by council members Hamud and Abraham authorizing a noise ordinance waiver for the upcoming 2025 MDOT project along US 12, which is Michigan Avenue, from Firestone Street to I-94. Also authorizing MDOT contractors to work during nighttime hours to minimize disruption to local businesses during peak hours and requesting immediate effect.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. MDOT will be performing resurfacing project within the city of Dearborn in 2025. This includes asphalt, cold milling, and resurfacing and pedestrian ramps rehabilitation on US 12, which is Michigan Avenue between Firestone and 94. MDOT would like to carry out portions of this resurfacing during the nighttime hours in order to reduce daytime lane closures. Historically, the city has granted the waivers for a noise ordinance, so the request for a noise ordinance waiver as well, and asking for immediate effect. Any questions or comments on this item?
Right.
Councilwoman Herrick?
I just was looking, when is this supposed to begin? I
Okay,
think
this
after the
is-
Memorial Day parade, right?
Yes. This
Because-
is Michigan Avenue, that's after Memorial Day.
Because the Memorial Day parade route is returning to that, to east of the Southfield Freeway at, this coming year. Or east of Greenfield. But we don't have an exact date of when the construction.
They just have it beginning early summer, after Memorial Day.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Nothing further from the clerk's office, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. So before I turn it over to my colleagues, just a few things. I've said this several times. I know some people have took it good to it, but I've said I haven't met a person born in February that was a bad person. So I have the privilege of reading off 4 birthdays on this council that are in February. We're gonna start with Councilman Al Sawafi today, correct? Today's your birthday?
That's right.
A couple of days ago, Councilman Paris, happy birthday. And Councilwoman Herrick, yesterday.
Yeah,
So, and mine is on the 14th, so 4 out of 7 in February,
right
so.
here.
So Mayor, that's the majority, you got the 4, we're good. So, I wanna wish all my colleagues a happy birthday. We do spend a lot of time together and doing the best what we can for our residents, so it's nice to recognize those birthdays. Enjoy yourself, I can tell you, when I reached 50, I stopped asking for gifts. I buy whatever I want for myself. And sometimes I'll send a picture to my daughter just to make sure it's, not out of style. But I can tell you, some tennis shoes, I gotta say this, some tennis shoes that I didn't wear like 25 years ago are now in style. Just so you guys know, if you have any, what are they called?
Parachute
New
pants?
Balance
Oh, yeah.
with the N. The New Balance. Before they were out of style. Now they are new, they're back. I'm about to bring my old ones out.
Mike, I regret to
So-
tell you, they've been back for a couple of years.
They've been back for a couple of years, but 20 years ago, I was wearing them, they said they were no good. So, thank you guys all. I don't have anything, my colleagues, I got anything from my colleagues? Councilman Herrick?
Just 2 things for folks who might not be aware. The Dearborn Public Schools are accepting nominations for Teacher of the Year right now, done in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. So that application is available on the Dearborn Area Chamber of Commerce website or through the school, the various schools, you can fill one out. And coming online soon will be nominations for the Mayor's Arts Awards, which are awarded in April. But they'll be collecting nominations for Artist of the Year and people who support the arts, art organization. So keep an eye out for that because we want to give recognition to those in the arts community who help make our city more vibrant. And then on a personal note, as we just talked about, this is birthday week for 4 of us. I want to say thank you to the Dearborn Public Library and the Rotary Club of Dearborn. Yesterday, we rededicated the auditorium at the Henry Ford Centennial Library. and had a very nice event with the public participating, with representatives from the library staff, the Library Foundation, the Library Commission, and Rotarians were all there. And thank you to the mayor for joining us and saying some wonderful, encouraging words. That libraries are a gathering place, and that auditorium is available to the public to be rented for events that build community, educate the community, entertain. The library now is doing open mic nights every now and then, so watch their schedule for just an amazing, right after our event last night was the free movie night, which is held on Monday nights at the Henry Ford Centennial Library. But on a personal note, I just wanted to say thank you to Glenn O'Cray, one of our esteemed community members, who gathered everyone in song to sing me happy birthday after the event last night. So thank you so much. Very heartwarming. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilman El-Swafi.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to express my gratitude for everyone for their kind birthday wishes from the Council President and everybody that reached out. And every year on my birthday, I like to think about everything that I'm grateful for. And I'm certainly grateful for everyone here, everyone from my far left, from the mayor to the directors, to all my thoughtful colleagues, all the way to the right to the clerk. So I just want to express my gratitude for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Paris.
I hate that's called the far left.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to make mention, I know we've been talking about some of the renovations to our pool buildings, and that was on the consent agenda, but about Summer Stevens, Lapeer, and 10 Parks, I personally went down and checked some of these parks recently, and I know that it's hard getting the construction done during the winter, but hey, you know, everything's ripped up, everything's a go, we will get there, you know, by the summer. But I happened to go down to Lapeer, and on my way back anyways, I happened to stop by the Oakland Apartments and just wanted to bring that up as possibly a potential safety issue again. I know everything's had the plywood over the windows, but the fences are ripped down, so it's an attractive nuisance. I just don't want somebody going in and causing any more destruction or possibly to get hurt, you know, if we can take a look at that. But going down to in that area again, Oakman and the northeast corner of Michigan Avenue.
Councilman, just one second. I appreciate that. I want to make sure we note that, Jackie. And Director, if you don't mind, yeah, any fence, that is our responsibility, right? Because we are doing a demo. But thank you, Councilman. You're absolutely right. Anybody that can get in there, you know, and get hurt in those areas, I'm glad the Councilman brought that up. Please, if that's DPW or ED, whoever can respond back to the council, just that has been repaired. Thank you, Councilman. Go ahead.
Sure. And also in that area on Oakman and Michigan Avenue on the northeast corner, there was a decorative light pole that was knocked down in an accident. I don't know how long ago it may have been, but a lot of debris, glass, and broken pieces from the decorative light pole are on the sidewalk there, so that's something else. And I'm just noticing this not too long before coming to the council meeting, so that's why I'm bringing it up now.
No, I appreciate it. And Jackie, if you can just make a note of that, thank you, Councilman, because we do have the Clean Streets crew that can get out there, and we'll let the director know.
And last but not least, we want nothing but great things with our parks coming up, let alone the Peace Parks. Going down, driving through the south end, the Peace Park down there, again, an attractive nuisance. The fences are down. There's one fence to the south side of it that's hanging down. Any child grabbing that fence or whatever could fall on them. So I just want to make sure that the fencing around that Peace Park 3 down on the south end is taken care of.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Jackie, you have that as well? All right, we'll get all those to the director, make sure they're clean.
And
I
again,
appreciate
that's
that.
just
No.
this evening, so.
No, that's excellent. No, it's important. Yeah, I'm glad you brought it to the attention. All right, Councilman Hammoud?
Yeah, when you were talking about boarding up windows, all I could think of was Philadelphia after the Eagles won. I don't know if anybody, were you there,
Yeah.
Council President? Yeah, you were okay though?
No, I wasn't in Philadelphia.
Oh. So we were talking about birthdays. I know we have one other birthday since the Clan Hawkins always joins us here at council meetings. Tim's son, Charlie Hawkins, had his birthday on February 7th. He turned 12.
Oh, that's excellent.
Great
Yeah,
day,
I'm glad
great
you
day.
brought that up.
So also,
Charlie has been very, very helpful. I know you've had him out there working in the road crew a few times.
He's
That's
currently in the
excellent.
water main hole.
He wasn't even
Drive.
12 and you had him doing that too.
Yeah, it's like
Him and
digging
Cheryl.
holes for the residents of Dearborn. So Charlie Hawkins is learning at a very young age the meaning of a good hard day's work. So props to the Hawkins family.
Anything else,
Oh,
Councilman?
that's it. Thank you.
All right, before I turn over the administration, one of my colleagues mentioned something wrong back there. I just want to tell the director of recreation, I had an opportunity to go to the Civic Center or Fort Foreman Community Arts Center for an evening, an event there, and I can tell you, it's incredible the amount of traffic, the people there, the water features, wrestling, Mayor, that's something new. A wrestling program, stretching cages for people, it's incredible. If you have not been there lately, you will not believe the transformation. It's not just the funding we put in there, but to actually see the amount of people there between 6 and 8 o'clock in the evening, working out, it's incredible. The pool full operation, the jacuzzi and everything that they have to offer, and the food that's now there, which we took in the survey, Mayor, to come back and say what they're missing. But if you have not been there, check it out. You will not believe how packed it is and how many people are using it. So it's great to the administration for the vision, and of course the director of recreation for implementing it. It looks really great, really, really good. Councilman Abu?
Yeah, you actually reminded me of something.
Okay.
On that, I saw a press release, and I don't know if we mentioned it in council meetings, but it's something that a lot of residents have asked me about, is the Silver Sneakers program is now at the Civic Center, which is a huge deal, actually.
And
Yeah,
so-
Councilman, great point. And to kick that over, Councilwoman Herrick had initiated that, sent several emails regarding it. And I know that the mayor is very proud that we did finally get it through. So Councilwoman, did you want to speak on that a little bit?
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
I first heard about the program probably 3 or 4 years ago, before the current administration, and brought it to the Recreation Department at that time that some of our residents were asking about the Silver Sneakers program. And the mayor or Recreation can tell you a little more detail about the opportunities that it provides. If we want to have the director, you want to address that, Mayor?
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you, because our current recreation team and the administration made it happen. It took a few years, and another resident coming forward and again, asking for that opportunity. And so I thank our residents for bringing these ideas forward. And
No, absolutely, and I think
We
you,
saw action
Councilwoman,
was
'cause-
taken.
yeah, because when we talked earlier this year and you brought it forward, I looked into it, and obviously you had brought it to the administration earlier, and they were working on it. So let's have the mayor give us a little
Yeah.
break on it.
So we launched Silver Sneakers and Prime. So Silver Sneakers is actually an additive benefit for those that have certain Medicare Advantage plans. And what essentially does is it covers your cost of your gym membership. And so it was actually an extensive back and forth negotiating that contract, thanks to our legal team. But we got it squared away. Prime, similarly, is for those aged 18 through 64. And so if you have it as an add-on to your healthcare benefit, it too will also pay for your gym membership. Now, the way these work are different than how we would charge for a gym membership. Gym membership is, you pay, the $40 a month, whether you go or not go. And so the reason I believe many facilities might not be opting into Silver Sneakers is you only get paid if the individual goes.
Oh.
And so it's basically a revenue loss calculation of, what happens if an individual doesn't go. So essentially it works where you'll get $10 per each time the person goes. Once they hit that, 4 times, you'll get the full amount, and then they can just, it doesn't matter after that. But if the following month they only come once, you only get $10, you don't get the full membership amount. So a lot of municipalities or a lot of places might not opt in because they see it as a loss of revenue. For us, we had timed it where once we did the transformation with our gym, to then offer that new benefit and obviously just open it up, not really weighing too much in the finances end. So we're happy that Silver Sneakers and Prime launched. I think in the first 2 days, we had about 100 people sign up.
That's great.
And so, or at least flip their membership over to Silver Sneakers, either new memberships and or flipping their existing over to Silver Sneakers. And so that was good news.
Excellent. Thank you. Anything else from my colleagues? All right, Mayor, anything from the administration you'd like to?
Just a flag for you, Charlie Hawkins is still working on the water main break on Michigan Auto Drive. That water main break,
Yeah,
on a
that's a
serious
big one.
note, yeah,
We've
it's a
had a
big
lot
one.
of calls on that,
It
yeah.
won't be done at 12 o'clock. We've had a lot of water main breaks in recent, and what GLEWA informed us is they had a facility in a neighboring city that was closed, and so they increased the pressure to make sure that the pressure doesn't fall down. And so those pressure fluctuations, in addition to the thaw and freeze cycle, we obviously had some very cold days a few weeks ago, and you saw a lot of breaks happen when the weather warmed up. And so the combination has led to a lot of water main breaks. And so our team is doing a phenomenal job. DPW is working overtime. And so really thank them. But expect the lane closures. We want to get this done before the snowstorm expected later this week.
That's right.
And so that's our goal, is to get it done tomorrow, hopefully by midday, because we obviously have 6 to 8 inches of snow expected by end of week.
Thank you, Mayor. Anything else for the administration? Anything else?
Very successful daddy-daughter dance. For those that were
Oh, yeah.
able to attend, I stopped by with my girls. My wife tagged along. I don't know if that's allowed, but she came.
No, it's not.
And,
Daddy, daughter, Mayor.
yeah.
Daddy and daughter.
I think we have daddy, daughter, and then mom, and like small writing in the bottom of the flyer on the backside. But I think we almost sold out the first day and sold out the second day, and so it was slammed. And so congratulations to the whole team. Congratulations to Martin Zaboznik. That was his final event. He's now the new Parks and Recreation Director in Dearborn Heights. So congratulations to him on his transition. And it was overall a great time. And,
Right.
yeah.
And Mayor, before you came on, there
It
was
was
only...
much more exhilarating than the Super Bowl, I can tell you that.
Was it? I could tell you that the daddy-daughter dance was like the hottest ticket in the whole city before. And I'm sure Councilman Abraham, we used to get calls like crazy because it was only one day. So to be sold out one day and almost sold out to go to 2 days, I appreciate you guys going that extra day because it was a hard ticket to get, so.
The moms are asking for their own day now, and I just don't know what to name that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know.
We're working on it.
We'll figure it out.
Mother Sundays are even more popular.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Clerk, anything from the clerk's department?
No, we're all set tonight, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. So next, we have our second and final public comment session. Anybody here to address the city regarding city business? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.